Hello students, this is Frederick Sir here. In this particular module, I am going to explain about the story The Happy Prince. The story Happy Prince is written by Oscar Wilde. Oscar Wilde was born in 1854 and died in 1900. He was an Anglo-Irish playwright, novelist, poet, and critic. He is regarded as one of the greatest playwrights of the Victorian era. In his lifetime, he wrote 9 plays, one novel, and numerous poems, short stories, and essays. This story is about a prince. When the prince was alive, he was very happy. After his death, a big statue of his was erected on a pedestal. From there, the statue of Prince could see the entire city, and at that time he saw the miseries of the people. He saw the people, the homeless, their hunger and starvation. The prince was sad to see all these miseries, sadness of the people. So, in this chapter, we will study the story of this prince. Once in a town, there lived a prince. He was called the Happy Prince because he had been happy all his life. After his death, his statue was erected on a tall pedestal in the middle of the town. The statue was covered with gold and had 2 precious sapphire stones embedded in the eyes. A ruby stone had been fitted into the handle of his sword. From there, he could see all around the place and realized that the people lived in a lot of poverty and misery. This sight saddened the prince, and being helpless, he could weep to see the plight of his people. One day, a swallow bird was flying through the city on its way to Egypt to meet his friends. On the way, it took shelter for the night at the feet of the statue of the Happy Prince. The bird realized that the statue was weeping and, upon inquiry, realized the plight of the prince. The helpless prince requested the bird to help it by becoming its messenger. After initial refusal, the bird agreed and took the ruby stone out of the sword hilt and delivered it to a poor seamstress. The next morning, as he went to bid goodbye, the statue convinced him to stay back for one more day. That day, the bird was asked to remove the sapphire stone from one of the statue's eyes and delivered it to a young playwright. Also, on the third day, the bird had to pull out the second sapphire stone for a poor match girl. By this time, the weather had become cold and the bird had developed an attachment with the statue. The bird did not want to leave the statue, which had now been blind. The happy prince asked the bird to go around the city and inform him the condition of the people living there. The bird told him that the rich were making merry while the poor lived in misery. As the happy prince did not have any more precious stones, he ordered the bird to remove the gold foils from his body and distribute among the living who needed money for survival. Gradually, the statue of the prince lost its covering of gold and became dull and grey. On the other hand, the poor became joyous as they got bread to eat. The swallow bird was now unable to withstand the cold weather and realized that death was approaching. It informed the statue that it had to leave, and the statue who loved the bird asked it to kiss him. As the bird died and fell at the statue's feet, a strange sound came out of the statue, the sound of the breaking of its heart. Although the statue's heart was made of lead, it broke as it was overwhelmed with affection towards the bird. When the statue was melted in the furnace, the heart did not melt and was thrown in the garbage. It landed near the swallow's body. God's angels took both the dead swallow and the broken heart to him as they were the most precious things on land. In this story, we learn that Happy Prince begins his life as a naive prince who enjoys the spoils of the upper class society and never sets foot outside the palace walls. After he dies, the town turns him into a statue and he is placed on the wall of the place where he sees the hardships the lower classes go through daily just to survive. His heart hurts for the people and he weeps for them. When Salo comes to him, he sees an opportunity to change things and begs Swallow to help him give his riches to the people. His big heart and compassion grow as he sees more people suffering. He gives everything he has to the poor people in his town with Swallow's help. The happy prince is truly happy in his soul that he has the opportunity to spread his wealth. However, Swallow dies at the end of the story and the happy prince heart breaks. He is taken to heaven because of his good deeds, illustrating that God cares about good deeds and a pure heart. And the swallow is a carefree bird that thinks of his own happiness before anything else. He falls in and out of love quickly and moves quickly as well. He is headed to Egypt when he finds the happy prince statue. He works with the happy prince because he sees how much it means to the happy prince to help others. Swallow's heart for the people and the happy prince grows throughout the story as he distributes the wealth to those suffering in the town. His heart becomes more giving and pure to the point that he chooses to help even though he will die of cold. His character starts out as selfish, but he becomes a loyal and pure-hearted companion for the happy prince. He also receives his glory in heaven. Thank you for your attention.